Alright, listen up, folks. We need to talk about the absolute dumpster fire that is Manchester United right now. No, seriously. Sit down, grab a drink, cancel your plans. This is going to be one of those conversations, because what's happening at Manchester United isn't just tragic, it's art. Like one of those modern art pieces where a banana is duct taped to a wall and called genius. Only this time, the banana costs £85 million and plays right wing. Like, how does a club with 3 Champions League titles, 20 Premier League trophies, and more money than sense? Yes, the Manchester United, once the most feared, most decorated, most iconic football club on the planet, now looks like a mid-table sitcom that refuses to get cancelled. It's like they're speed-running the How to Ruin a Football Club tutorial on YouTube. End up looking like a Sunday League team that lost its keeper to a hangover? And not just any Sunday League team. We're talking full pub team energy. Lads still wearing last night's wristbands, no subs, one guy in jeans, and someone's cousin in goal because the real keeper had a family thing. That's the current vibe at Old Trafford. Except they've got a £500,000 a week wage bill and an Amazon documentary coming soon. Dude, this isn't just a bad season. This is a full-blown footballing tragedy with a side of comedy. It's Shakespeare meets SNL, a Greek tragedy co-written by Monty Python. They don't play matches anymore. They host live reenactments of chaos. Managers come and go like Tinder dates. Players jog around like they're in a dream sequence. And the stadium leaks both water and dignity. So grab your popcorn, because we're diving into the glorious mess that is Man United 2024-25. And I mean popcorn, the good kind, because this is peak entertainment. This isn't just football. This is a weekly reality show where the plot twists are dumber than fiction. And today's episode? Oh, buckle up. We've got sackings, tantrums, tactical disasters, and enough spin to power Antony's entire career. Oh man, where do we even begin with this glorious catastrophe? It's like trying to pick your favorite car crash in a demolition derby. Everything's on fire, and somehow the horn is still honking. Let's start with the numbers, shall we? Manchester United currently has the second highest wage bill in the entire Premier League. That's right. They're paying out enough weekly salaries to fund a small nation. They're handing out 6-figure paychecks like Oprah. You get £200,000. You get £300,000. Everybody gets overpaid. And for what? 15th place. Not 5th. Not 10th. 15th. That's lower mid-table mediocrity with a side of shame. They're rubbing shoulders with relegation specialists and newly promoted teams who still use folding chairs in their dressing rooms. Let that marinate for a second. The mighty Red Devils, once conquerors of Europe, now hanging around in the part of the table where teams pray for a draw against Brentford. You could throw a dart at the league table blindfolded, after 10 pints mid-sneeze, and still hit a club with more stability and self-respect. Hell, even Luton Town's season looks like a masterclass in project management compared to this. And here's the punchline. They're not just underachieving, they're flirting with relegation. Relegation, like that shady ex who says, "Let's just talk," and before you know it, you're spiraling into emotional bankruptcy. That's United right now. They're sending winks to the championship and pretending it's just a rough patch. Can you imagine Manchester freaking United doing away days at Preston North End? No offense to Preston, but that's a sentence that sounds like a simulation glitch. The theater of dreams turning into the pantomime of nightmares, starring Bruno Fernandes as that guy who yells a lot. And let's be honest, if this keeps going, we might soon see United players warming up next to laundry baskets because the training ground budget was slashed to pay off another transfer flop. This isn't just a fall from grace. This is a nosedive off Mount Olympus straight into a Greg's parking lot. Laddies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Welcome to the most unpredictable, chaotic, and unintentionally comedic show in football. The Manchester United Managerial Circus, the only place where tactical philosophies go to die, and managers are tossed aside quicker than a cold meat pie at Old Trafford. Step right up and feast your eyes on the Premier League's most expensive rotating door. Managers come in, spout some inspirational nonsense at the press conference, try to make sense of the broken mess they've inherited, and get sacked faster than you can say rebuild. Let's take a stroll through this hall of managerial fame/shame. Erik ten Hag, the Dutch disciplinarian who was supposed to restore order and respect. Spoiler, he restored neither. Instead, he got handed a dressing room with more egos than effort, and a squad that looks allergic to consistency. 2 seasons in, and he's gone from the bald genius to the guy who couldn't beat Brentford. Ruben Amorim, the latest victim in this never-ending footballing soap opera, plucked from Portugal and dumped straight into chaos. He barely had time to unpack before being expected to save a club that can't even decide if it wants to press high or sit back. It's like handing someone a piano and asking them to fly it. And who could forget the ghosts of managers past? Jose Mourinho, who arrived like a general ready for war and left like a bitter ex. He told everyone the club was broken, but because he used big, scary words like culture and structure, they called him toxic and showed him the door. Years later, everything he said turned out to be true. But hey, at least he gave us the 3 fingers rant. Louis van Gaal, who came armed with philosophy and left behind an army of sideways passes and bored fans. His pressers were gold, though. Shame about the football. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. What can we say? The man loved the club, and that's pretty much all he brought to the table. He was vibes over vision, smiles over strategy. When the tactics dried up, so did the wins. It was like giving the manager job to your favorite uncle, because he's nice at family dinners. Now here's where it gets truly ridiculous. Every time they fire one of these poor souls, they replace him with someone who plays a completely different style. It's as if the board is using a dartboard with tactics instead of making any kind of coherent footballing plan. One season it's possession-based control. The next, it's all about counterattacking. After that, maybe a little high press. Then vibes again. And every time, the fans are told to be patient, because this is a project. Sure, a project. Like gluing together a broken vase using chewing gum and hope. United doesn't rebuild. They renovate half the kitchen, knock down the bathroom, install a trampoline in the living room, and then act surprised when the house collapses. At this point, they'd have better luck hiring a random guy from Twitter who plays Football Manager. Seriously, just call the club FC Whiplash at this point, because watching the tactical shifts from one coach to the next is enough to give any fan emotional vertigo. The Glazers, the masterminds behind the longest-running heist in Premier League history. Forget Ocean's 11. This is Manchester United. Episode 1. How to bleed a club dry and still get paid. Since 2005, the Glazer family has held this club hostage like it's their personal ATM. They didn't buy Manchester United. They leveraged it, buried it under mountains of debt, and then acted like they were doing everyone a favor just by showing up once a year in a box seat with a cup of lukewarm tea. Let's be clear. They didn't just suck the soul out of United. They're still doing it. With interest, $500 million in debt. $500 million. For what? A stadium that leaks when it rains. And not in a poetic, old football charm kind of way. We're talking industrial-level water damage. The Theatre of Dreams is now also the Theatre of Damp Seats. Old Trafford used to be iconic. Now it's an architectural cry for help. Rusting beams, broken seats, patchy Wi-Fi, and toilets that flush only if you whisper sweet nothings to them. Meanwhile, down the road, Spurs are rocking a space-age spaceship of a stadium that serves craft beer and charges your phone while you cry about a 2-2 draw. And then there's the training ground. Remember when Carrington was cutting edge? Yeah, that was back when Nokia phones had Snake. Nowadays, it's more retro museum than modern facility. We're talking peeling paint, worn-out equipment, and medical rooms that look like NHS waiting areas circa 1997. But wait, the Glazers can't hear your complaints. Why? Because the sound of dividends hitting their bank accounts is too loud. Yes, despite the mediocrity on the pitch, the implosion of it, and the fans protesting every other Saturday, the Glazers still walk away with millions. Every single year, not investing it back into the club. Oh no, that'd be silly. They just take it, like cartoon villains in polo shirts. And when fans dare to complain, when legends like Gary Neville speak out, suddenly, it's all about misinformation and misunderstanding. No, mate, we understand perfectly. You treat one of the world's biggest football clubs like a rental property you forgot to check on for 15 years. And let's talk ambition. What's their long-term footballing vision? Trick question. They don't have one. As long as the commercial deals keep coming and the Instagram engagement is high, everything's fine. Who needs trophies when you've got TikTok views? The club could be melting into the Premier League abyss, and the Glazers would still be checking stock prices before checking results. The fans could light Old Trafford on fire, and they'd respond with a 10% discount in the megastore. So yes, bravo, lads. Bravo. You've managed to take one of the most iconic institutions in sports and run it like a garage sale. And somehow, you're still making money. A round of applause. Just don't expect it from the Stretford end. Let's play a fun little game called Find the Sensible Signing. Rules are simple. Scroll through United's transfer history since Sir Alex left, and just try, to spot one single coherent, non-insane signing. Take your time. Actually, don't, because you'll be here all week. Paul Pogba. Let's start with the prodigal son. £89 million to buy back a player they let go for free. Smart. Then he came back, dazzled with TikTok dances, got into more off-field drama than a Netflix series, and dipped again after a few highlight reels and a full-time job as a barber model. Midfield dominance? Nah. But hey, that fade was always fresh. Harry Maguire. £80 million for a fridge with legs. Captain Slow. The only defender who turns like a cruise ship, but without the stability. He cost more than Virgil van Dijk. Let that sink in. Every time he steps on the pitch, United fans instinctively inhale and exhale, loudly, in despair. Jadon Sancho, £73 million. A young, exciting talent, they said. A generational winger, they said. What they got was a guy who played 600 minutes of football, lost a public argument with a manager, and now spends more time on Twitch than on the bench. Honestly, he's contributed more to controller drift than he has to goals. Anthony. The crown jewel of chaos. £85 million for a man whose signature move is a 720 spin, followed by a pass to the opposition. They say he's unpredictable. That's true. No one, not even Anthony himself, knows what he's doing half the time. The Premier League was expecting Neymar. They got a Beyblade. Donny van de Beek. Remember him? Yeah. Neither do the coaches. £35 million to warm the bench so long, he's practically fused with it. If you told Donny this was a social experiment on human patience, he'd probably believe you. Angel Di Maria came in hot, left with PTSD. A world-class winger turned ghost in 6 months. Apparently, his family hated Manchester so much, they packed before he'd even unpacked. Great times. Alexis Sanchez. Straight swap with Mkhitaryan. Both clubs lost. But United lost harder. A man on £500,000 a week to impersonate a footballer while playing the piano in the announcement video like he was composing a requiem for the club's transfer strategy. Romelu Lukaku, signed, scored a few. First touch like a trampoline. Sold. Then blamed for everything from global warming to Brexit. Classic. And this is just scratching the surface. Schneiderlin, Memphis, Fulcaro, Schweinsteiger, Marshall, aka the eternal next Thierry Henry since 2015. It's like Ed Woodward and friends had a checklist titled by high, sell lower, repeat. You know it's bad when rival fans actually pity your transfer window. That's when you've reached peak tragedy. Chelsea spends wildly, but at least it's chaotic with flair. United? It's like they're firebombing a pile of cash for fun. There is no vision, no structure, no plan. It's just a desperate spin on the big-name roulette wheel. Every summer, a new overhyped savior. Every winter, regret and confusion. And still, they act surprised when it all goes wrong. At this point, you could give a toddler £1 billion and a FIFA Ultimate Team card pack, and they'd build a more balanced squad. At least that toddler wouldn't spend £200 million on vibes and Instagram engagement. Bravo again, Manchester United recruitment. Another year, another masterclass in how not to build a team. 5. The real problem. Here it is, the cold, ugly truth. Manchester United isn't a football club anymore. It's not a team, it's a business. A multi-billion-dollar, brand-sponsored, corporate nightmare with a side hustle in perpetual disappointment. It's like if someone took a legendary club, dipped it in pure marketing syrup, and then tried to sell it as a luxury product. But all you got was expired cheese and broken dreams. Let's break it down. There is no plan, no clear vision, no leadership, just a bunch of people in suits who think a tweet from Cristiano Ronaldo is a game plan. You don't need a footballing brain to understand the problem. You need to read the balance sheets. The Glazers don't care if United finishes 15th. They don't care if they get knocked out of the FA Cup by Boreham Wood. As long as the money keeps rolling in, the brand is fine. Who needs a winning team when you've got an endless sea of sponsor deals and overpriced replica shirts? United's so-called identity has been shoved down the toilet. This is a club that once stood for power, precision, and brutal efficiency. Fergie's fury. Now, they're just a thing that exists in the football world. They've got no personality, no soul. It's like someone took a club that once played football with heart and passion and replaced it with a hollow shell that just walks around in expensive kits and goes through the motions. There's no philosophy, no belief in a style of play. Hell, even their attacking football now feels like a slow death march to the inevitable 1-1 draw at home to Sheffield United. United's best days are locked away in a video highlight reel from the 90s and early 2000s. Watching them now is like watching a once great rock band tour for the 50th anniversary. But the lead singer can't remember the lyrics, the drummer's asleep, and the guitarist is playing jazz in a different key. Every game is a new chapter in the same tragic novel. Oh, and it's always the same plot. Play bad, get a draw, make promises to improve, repeat next weekend. Over, and over, and over. And don't even get me started on the vibes thing. It's not just bad football, it's bad vibes. No cohesion, no spark. No one knows what the hell they're doing out there. You'd think that with the amount of money they're spending, there'd be at least one player who seems like he knows where to be when the ball is passed to him. But no, it's just chaos on the pitch. There's no rhythm, no flow, just a bunch of players running around like it's a park kickabout. Waiting for the next inevitable, can we play in the Champions League? Post-match interview where everyone pretends they're confident and optimistic. Until Manchester United gets its act together. And I mean really gets its act together, Not just another half-baked rebuild or refresh of the squad. It's going to continue being the Premier League's most embarrassing joke. They'll stay the punching bag of rival fans, the laughingstock of footballing pundits, and the reality show everyone watches just to see how deep the mess goes. At this point, the only thing that's constant at United is the losses. The only plan they seem to have is to hope they get lucky. But luck isn't going to save them. If they don't stop with this half-hearted, short-term thinking, they'll just keep getting further away from their glory days. A club without an identity is a club without a future. So, until the Glazers take a step back and actually fix this broken machine from the ground up, United's fate is sealed. A business at its heart, not a football club. And that, my friends, is the real tragedy. All right, it's your turn now. I've given you the rundown on how United's crashing and burning in the most spectacular way possible. But let's hear your hot takes. Is this club officially doomed to the footballing underworld? Are we witnessing the final days of the Manchester United we used to know? Or can they somehow rise from the ashes like a phoenix that forgot how to fly? Spoiler alert, I'm betting on the former, but hey, prove me wrong. And let's be real, do we even need to start printing "Welcome to the Championship" banners? I can already hear rival fans singing "You're going down" every week. But hey, if that's the reality, we might as well embrace it with open arms. Nothing screams football nostalgia like an away day at Blackpool. Right? Now, I want to know what you think. Is there any hope left for this club? Or should we just let them keep doing their best impression of a mid-table mess? Drop your thoughts below. Go ahead and leave your hottest takes. And if you've enjoyed this roller coaster of football misery, smash that like button like it's a Maguire clearance. Show some love for this therapy session, because I think we all needed it. And don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss the next episode of how Manchester United embarrassed themselves this week. Trust me, it's becoming a weekly series. Spoiler, it's not going to end well for them. Peace out, and may the football gods have mercy on us all.